Title: The Dinner Receipt. That broke me. My name is Rachel. I'm 38th, high school literature teacher, married to David, 41, an architect. We met in college. I was grading papers at the campus cafe. He was sketching buildings in the corner. He asked what I was reading. I told him The Bell Jar. He said, "You like sad women?" I laughed. We've been inseparable ever since. Or so I thought. We've been married 14 years. We have a daughter, Sophie, 9, a golden retriever named Whiskey. We host Sunday brunches, play board games, argue about movies. Everyone says we're that couple, stable, loving, real. But real doesn't mean unbreakable. It started 2 months ago. David became distant. He didn't notice when I got a haircut. He started coming home late. The warmth in his eyes, the thing I fell in love with, was dimming. I asked if he was stressed. He said work was just insane. I offered to help more at home. He said I was already doing everything. That should have reassured me. It didn't. The first red flag wasn't a message. It wasn't lipstick. It was a receipt. I was looking for Sophie's tablet in his car, and I found a folded dinner receipt under the passenger seat. 2 entrees, 2 cocktails, 1 dessert, 1 note scrawled on the back in blue ink. "Last night was magic. I've missed your laugh." My stomach dropped. I stared at it for minutes, willing it to say something else. I wanted it to be a misunderstanding, a business dinner, a friend. But magic? He didn't laugh like that with me anymore. That night, I didn't mention it. I couldn't. I needed to see more. I needed to be sure. So I waited. I watched him lie to my face 3 nights later. He said he had a team meeting. I kissed him goodbye, told him not to work too hard. Then I followed him. He didn't go to the office. He didn't even head downtown. He drove to a restaurant, the same name on the receipt. She arrived 7 minutes later. I watched from my car. She was younger, slim, effortlessly confident. She touched his arm when she laughed. He leaned in too close. He smiled, the way he used to smile at me. I went home and threw up. I didn't confront him that night, or the next. I couldn't yet. I still needed to believe in the man I married. But denial has a short shelf life. He was in the shower 3 days later when his phone buzzed. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. "Friday can't come soon enough. Your bed or mine." I felt something break inside me. I took a breath, walked into the bathroom, and placed the phone on the counter. "Who is she?" He froze, water running down his back. He didn't turn around. "Rachel, I can explain." "No," I said, "you can confess." He sat on the floor, naked, small, like a man watching his house burn down. Her name was Elena, a junior architect in his firm. It started as late-night brainstorms, turned into shared Uber rides, then dinners, then everything else. "It wasn't supposed to mean anything," he said. "It just happened." I laughed, loud, ugly. "People don't just fall into someone else's bed, David. That takes intention." We fought, we cried, we stayed up until 4 a.m. Talking, not talking, remembering, forgetting. I wish I could say I left that night. I didn't. I wish I could say I threw him out. I didn't. I tried to save us. We went to therapy. We cried more. We argued in parked cars. We clung to memories like life rafts, but love can't survive without trust, and mine had drowned. 3 weeks later, I asked him to move out. Sophie asked if Daddy was mad at Mommy. I told her no, that sometimes adults need space to be better people. I don't know if that was true, but it was kinder than the truth. I started rebuilding, slowly, painfully. I planted herbs in the kitchen window. I danced in the living room with Sophie. I read books again. I learned to drink wine alone without crying. And one day I woke up and didn't miss him. I wasn't healed, but I wasn't broken either. Now, when people say we were that couple, I nod. We were. But sometimes the strongest looking homes have the deepest cracks. You don't see them until it's too late. This isn't a story about revenge. It's about remembering who you were before someone made you forget. And I'm remembering her now. The first night without David was the quietest my house had ever been. Not peaceful quiet, not comforting. No, it was the kind of silence that screams. Every clock tick felt louder, every creak of the wood like a ghost pacing. Sophie was at her grandmother's that weekend. David had dropped her off. I had the house to myself for the first time in 14 years. I didn't clean. I didn't put on makeup. I didn't turn on the TV. I sat on the floor of the laundry room and cried until my voice gave out. The grief came in waves, not just for the marriage, but for the woman I used to be. The one who used to believe love was enough, the one who thought that sharing a mortgage and a child guaranteed loyalty. It didn't. Week 2. People started asking questions. Where's David? Everything okay at home? You guys are always so perfect. I smiled. I lied. I deflected. Until one afternoon in the school parking lot, I ran into Jenny, my closest friend. She looked at me too long, noticed the bags under my eyes, the way my clothes hung off me. "What happened?" she whispered, and I told her. I expected judgment or pity, but she took my hand and said, "You can either burn yourself trying to keep someone else warm, or you can walk away." That sentence lived in me for days. Week 3. David emailed me late at night. Subject line, "Still us?" He talked about missing me, about remembering our wedding song, about how even his coffee tasted different now. I didn't reply. He followed it up with a voicemail. He was crying. I hadn't heard him cry since his father died. Part of me wanted to run to him, to wrap myself around him and pretend it had all been a nightmare. But I couldn't. Some betrayals are too intimate to unhear. Week 5. Sophie asked if Daddy was going to live with us again. I crouched down to her level, held her hands. "I don't know, baby," I said, "but no matter what, you are so loved, always." She nodded. Kids are stronger than we think. That night, I opened a new bank account. I also started a journal. Entry number 1. I am not the woman he broke. I am the woman who survived it. Week 8. Elena, the other woman, messaged me on Instagram. I stared at her message for hours before opening it. "I'm sorry, I didn't know he was married at first. And when I found out, I didn't walk away. I should have. I'm so sorry." I didn't reply. Not because I hated her. I didn't. Not because I forgave her. I hadn't. But because she wasn't the one I needed to hear from anymore. David tried to reach out again. Therapy appointments, love letters. He even dropped off flowers at school. Red tulips, my favorite. But he never brought back trust. And without that, love is a hollow shell. 6 months later, I rented a small beach house for me and Sophie over spring break. I watched her build sandcastles. Her cheeks sunburnt, hair tangled with salt and laughter. One night, she fell asleep in my lap while I read Charlotte's Web aloud, the same way I did when she was 3. And I cried again, not from pain, but because I had survived. David and I are amicable now. We split holidays, attend parent-teacher conferences. We smile for Sophie, but we're no longer us. And I'm okay with that. In fact, I'm grateful, because now I wake up every morning knowing one thing: I will never again shrink myself to keep someone else comfortable. 1 year later, I started writing again. Short stories, essays, even poetry. People began following my blog. Women wrote in, telling me their own stories. Some were angry, some were raw, all were brave. I didn't plan to become a voice for betrayed women, but maybe we all need a little lighthouse when we're lost at sea. David remarried 2 years later, not to Elena, to someone else. I sent them a gift for the wedding, a framed quote that once saved me. "You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending." C.S. Lewis. Now, when I look in the mirror, I don't see the woman he left. I see the woman I chose to become, and she is fierce and flawed and finally free.